One, two, three, and four. Count what you have now. Don't count what you don't have. Count what you have now. Don't count what you don't have. Find that you have so much. 頑張りすぎる自分に疲れてことなけてきた真夜中のバスルームでまだ手にしたことのない幸せがどこかにある気がして焦るのは年のせい楽しく生きてきたの何一つ悔やんでないけど曇った鏡のように明日が見えない Can't you see, can't you see 自由と孤独は2つでセット気ままなこと寂しさもついてくるDon't you know 隣の芝生が青く見えたらこの庭に花を植えればいいCount what you have now Don't count what you don't have Find that you have so muchないものネタにしながらみんな迷って生きてる大人になってからも足元に咲いた綺麗な花に気づくだけで人は嬉しい気持ちになれるのにいつか胸の奥に抱えたジレンマの迷路抜ければ本当に大事なもの知る日が来るだろう Can't you see, can't you see どんな道を選んだとしても悩みの数同じだけついてくる You can choose, you can choose 私が決める私のプライオリティ何を取って何を諦めるの Can't you see, can't you see 幸せの基準測るものさし
Hello, 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 y'all. Welcome, welcome. How are y'all doing today? Let me turn the music down a little bit.
Hi.
Hello, hello. We're going to be doing the basics of
Hi.
Unity 3D today, which should just be a fun, fairly simple session. We're just going to be going through some of Unity's introduction tutorials, that sort of thing. Nothing super fancy, but it should be fun. If anyone recognizes the music that I have in the background, feel free to shout it out. Pulled this from another popular streamer. Another popular streamer, as if I'm a popular streamer. Just going to give it a couple minutes here, let people come in. I was a little bit late with the announcement. My Discord got signed out and I lost my 2FA and all the different things. You know how it is.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello, waving hand.
Hello, hello,
hey, waving
everyone.
Hand dimmer.
My goodness. So nice seeing everyone here. For those of you who haven't seen me before, hi, I'm Dimmer. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a coach at Major League Hacking. And as you could probably tell, there's text-to-speech on for this stream. So if you see down in the bottom corner there's a little text-to-speech icon. When that's on, anything that you type in chat will be read aloud. When that is off, it means that I need some time to talk without being interrupted. Yeah. Sorry for turning that off on y'all for a second, but I just wanted to show that is also on, like, when I'm sharing screen and things like that. Ooh. While we're giving people a couple seconds to come on in, let me turn on closed captioning.
Which headphones you are using, RN?
I'm using a pair of Sony WX100 M3s or whatever. It's the Sony over-ear noise canceling headphones from a couple years ago. They're good. I wouldn't necessarily recommend going out and buying them because there are other good headphones. But at the time, I needed noise canceling headphones based on where I was living. So they were worth it, and they still are. They're nice headphones. How's the time machine? I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't mention a time machine. I don't have a time machine. Time machines don't exist. Wherever could you have heard that yesterday? Testing, testing. Theoretically, I should be... Oh, there we go. Okay. Just quickly turning on closed captioning for y'all. I got some feedback last time I streamed that it was very useful for people. Oh, goodness. There we go. Okay. Now I should be able to turn on closed captioning for y'all. Oh, golly. There we go. Great. I got some feedback in the past that made the stream much more accessible. So I tried to have it on when I can. We're working internally at MLH to add more lower level stream access to Twitch. So closed captions can be turned on and off on Twitch's end, and also better things like stream point rewards and things like that. We're working on it. It's coming maybe halfway through this week or next month's Global Hack Week. So, okay, now that everything's set up, welcome, y'all. I'm Dimmer, they, them pronouns, coach at Major League Hacking, and today we're going to be looking at game development, specifically 3D game development in Unity. So, for those of you who don't know, Unity is a game engine that is remarkably popular. It is a closed source game engine that has both 2D and 3D components, so you can make 2D games with it or 3D games with it.
Hello,
welcome. It is, again, incredibly popular, especially in the indie scene. Majority of indie games you've probably ever played have run through Unity, and a shocking number of AAA games also use Unity as well. So it's a very popular tool. For those of you who've heard me talk about game dev tools before, you might be surprised that I'm talking about Unity, because I had some pretty strong opinions in the past. Let me share my screen here, because I talked before about Godot. Godot is an open source game engine, whereas Unity is a closed source game engine. Godot specifically just went through a major update, 4.0, which added a whole bunch of new features specifically for their 3D aspect. Godot is an alternative to Unity that also has 2D and 3D game engine components. And they just did an update that allows you more control over how your game is rendered on the GPU. So you can make more powerful kind of graphics and more interesting shadows and playing with light and things like that. It's a very cool platform, mainly in that it is completely open source. I believe that this sort of thing is like the future of game development. And any projects that I make, I said I wanted to make through Godot. But there's this. This is Unity Learn, which you have access to whenever you create a Unity account for free as a student, paid, whatever. And they have pathways to walk you through the fundamentals, which is really nice. Godot, as an open source project, doesn't have, it definitely has tons of community support, but it doesn't have like people who are paid to make tutorials for it. Unity, it makes sense for them from a business perspective to have this, because if they can teach students, then students will go on to make businesses using Unity and all of these things. It's the same thing that Adobe does. That being said, one of the other... Hello. One of the other reasons why I'm bringing up Unity here and now is because they've changed their payment model since I last looked at them. They used to take royalties on game sales, so they would take a percentage of anything that you did payment-wise, which I'm not arrogant enough to believe that anything that I make will make a whole lot of money, but it was kind of a pain to think about, like, oh, if I want to do something with this in the future, I will need to deal with the contracts that are involved with this. But Unity has switched over to a royalty of the things that you make. But you can pay up front, to get more access to features. So if you want access to the source code, you need to pay for that. If you want access to Havok, which if you've played games, you might have seen Havok shown on splash screens at the beginning. It's a really intense physics engine. You would need to pay a licensing fee. So basically, they've switched from we take a cut of everything that is made to we take a cut of people who want extra features. Basically, if you're a professional game studio, you would be paying Unity money. But they have a great student plan, and their free plan is perfect as well. And that made it more accessible for me to look into, to see what it's like, what you can make with Unity, especially with this Unity Essentials pathway, because if we open this up, it is a walkthrough of basically everything that Unity does in about an hour, which is great and perfect, especially for a stream like this. So I wanted to check it out, take a look, see how it compares to Godot. One of the things that really convinced me to take a look at this is the game A Short Hike, which is a super wonderful game about a small penguin trying to go on a hike up a hill and interacting with people. Let me pull that up for you. It's just a very sweet, short indie game. It looks stunning, specifically with the...
You gotta have a good machine to run Unity and game models into your system, isn't it?
It is like all game dev, especially 3D game dev. You are simulating a lot of polygons and things like that. You're running pretty intensive tools. So on the one hand, yes. On the other hand, a good machine isn't necessary. you can definitely work using like a very standard like school laptop. You can work on a game. You might struggle a little bit at specific times, but it definitely won't stop you from doing anything. It just might make it slightly slower. The tools, like while having a better computer will make it easier, won't restrict you. Okay, here we go. If we take a look here at these images, I love the way that A Short Hike looks. With the pixelated graphics, the lighting, the colors, it's all beautiful.
What are we going to do at Unity 3D in this live?
We're going to be going through their Unity Essentials tutorial series. So just getting an introduction to Unity in general. We aren't necessarily going to be making anything super unique in this one, but we're going to be getting an introduction. So A Short Hike is what convinced me to try Unity, because this game was created in Unity, and majority of the post-processing effects, specifically this pixelated effect, are available like freely out on the internet, so you can implement that in your own games super easily, which kind of really convinced me, because that is super cool. Godot is open source, but the Unity community is so much larger. That being said, that's kind of where I'm at, what I'm thinking, why we're doing this.
There is going to be part 2 as well?
Not necessarily, not this week. This is an exploration. So the end of this might be me going like, oh, I don't really like how Unity does things. There will probably be a follow-up next month. But really the question of this week is, does Unity truly offer a better experience than Godot? Godot is the engine that I have some previous experience in. And does it justify me leaving an open source engine to go closed source? Really quickly, Gamer and YouTube chat. Sadly, YouTube chat does not work with text-to-speech, only Twitch chat does. So if you want to go to twitch.tv/MLH, you can then use text-to-speech. I'm sorry, it's a limitation of the software that I'm running. I'm working on it, but currently YouTube chat does not work with that. Okay. That being said, I'm going to switch my playlist to a more low-key, lo-fi playlist as we go into learning about this. I have Unity installed, theoretically. Okay. Yes, I have installed Unity. That's really the only prep that I've done before this. Great. And I have a Unity account. That's really all that I've done. And then we're just going to go through. Actually, let me take a step back to talk more about what this is. This is Unity, the company. They created a tutorial series that walk you through using Unity to create games, specifically Unity Essentials as like an introduction to Unity, and Junior Programming as an introduction to game dev in general with Unity. And the idea is, after finishing Junior Programmer, you would be ready to apply for game dev industry jobs. I don't know how actually applicable that is, but it is very cool that they're doing this, especially because
with your background wood squares cat.
Thank you. I really like them too. I can talk more about those later. I made them myself, and they're really cool. Yeah, the idea is that going through these free programs makes you job ready for the game dev industry as a like junior programmer. And one of the reasons why you can do this with Unity and you can't with Godot is because Unity is an industry standard in certain circles. In like large AAA studios, not necessarily. Large AAA studios would either be using their own custom game engine, think EA and Frostbite, or they might be using something like Unreal Engine, which is much better for hyper like photorealistic 3D games, but isn't as versatile. There are a whole bunch of questions. But yeah, the idea here is that Unity is offering for free how to use their platform in its entirety, which isn't something that you necessarily have with a program like Godot, which is, it has community support, but it doesn't have as much official support. Okay, great. That, just checking in. Y'all can hear the music, right? You can hear music. You can hear me. You can hear text to speech. Does Unity 3D
provide the resources for free to learn and use?
Yes, they do. They provide all their learning resources for free. And also, if you have a student account, I'm I'm currently taking time off from university, so I unfortunately no longer have access to my student email. Oh, I'm re-enrolling in the fall, but uh, I can't have a student account right now, so I'm just using their like free account that anyone can access. But if you have a student account, they also provide you with a bunch of free assets that you can use in game. Let's open up. Let me just go back to the Unity. Ta-da. What am I looking for? Here we go. Student. With the Unity student plan, you get a free assets, and you get access to all their tutorials and all of their resources and things like that. Really, I think the only thing that's different between the student plan and just like the normal person plan are these assets, which is, again, very cool that you get access to them. Okay. With that, feel free to continue asking questions, but let's go ahead and get started. Wait, actually, before I start playing this, I'm going to turn off the music, and I'm going to test this, and I want to make sure that y'all can hear it. I've made this mistake before where I have started a video on stream thinking everyone could hear it, and then it has turned out that people could not. Chat, if you could let me know if you can hear this.
No.
That was my fear.
No audio.
Okay.
It's on mute.
Okay.
Inaudible.
What about now?
Still no.
Really?
No audio. Still inaudible, yeah.
Okay. If I do this, can y'all hear music?
Yes.
Okay. That's good.
Music, yes. Yes. Yas. Big ye.
I really appreciate y'all's help troubleshooting this. Every single stream, I always think that I have audio figured out, and then half of it works and half of it doesn't. Okay.
Dude, you in college?
Oh, there's an echo. Yes and no. Hello, welcome to the people who are saying hi in chat. I am like a college student, but I'm currently taking time off to focus on my health. I'm re-enrolling in the fall. It's the right choice for me. I'm really happy I made that choice, but I'm not currently enrolled. Okay.
Cool.
What?
No audio.
Yeah. From
No
my
audio.
perspective, if when I talk, like this is what y'all should be hearing. And when like text to speech runs, this is what happens. And when Spotify runs, it shows the audio here. And it shows, this is the thing that's annoying me. When I hit play here, it shows it's capturing the audio and it should be sending it to y'all, but it's not. So what I think we might do is I'm going to put on some music and I'm going to download this video because I know that if I download it, hello.
Read the subtitles?
I mean, yes, but I want to be able to give y'all the ability to hear it. And I'll just download it because if I download these videos, then I should be able to have complete control. You're totally fine. Really up to this point, we've just been talking about like why this is important. And then I encountered technical difficulties.
Hey bro, how is it going?
Hey, it's going good. Well, except for the technical difficulties. But other than that, it has been going well. Okay.
Hi.
Hello. It's downloading. Oh my goodness. While we're waiting, what are people's favorite streams that they've attended thus far in Global Hack Week? We're on day 3.
Doing in this session?
We're going to be learning about Unity 3D, the game development engine. Specifically going through Unity's like introduction.
I can't run Unity on my system.
RIP. Okay. So there are other alternatives. Godot, Godot is what I would recommend. It is, yeah, Unity is a very specific beast.
It was the social good Java appy we are making that is my fab.
Hey, that sounded like a really good stream.
I didn't know we MLH would do Unity Engine Learning live stream. It's really cool.
Hey, I'm glad. Depending on how this one goes, we're going to be following this up next month with more Unity resources, or we're going to be switching.
Are we going to develop a small game?
Probably, but game is going to be very loose in its interpretation.
Excited.
Okay, here we go. Let's try this again.
Unity 3D plus Blender?
Yes. That is the big plan. For those of you who don't know, I'm learning Blender right now in my free time, and that has shown in some of the streams that I've been doing, which have included Blender. And there's a later stream this week that is on Blender scripting. The idea is to combine those two to make some interesting things. Okay.
Welcome to Unity Essentials. My name is James.
Blender is so overwhelming. Awesome. GameDev.tv has...
Hey, okay, that's good to know. And yes, Blender is so overwhelming. Oh no, the download's broken.
Did the video just say welcome?
It did. It did. So you can hear it. Okay, let's try this.
I heard it.
Wait. I'm going to try this one more time. Let me know if you hear it.
Nope, I did.
It should be playing.
I need to download Unity Hub setup?
Yes.
No. New.
Rip. No.
Nope, I didn't hear. No, bro.
Rip.
Reprepper.
Okay. Let me try just switching to Firefox. Maybe that will solve all of our problems. Please. Okay.
Hey everyone, my name is James, and I'm your guide throughout the Unity Essentials pathway. Whether you're brand new to Unity, or you have some experience and you want to review the basics, you're in the right place. This tutorial will help you make sure that you have everything that you need.
Oh my
Sound
goodness.
on.
To make sure that you're
Audio.
ready, select from the
Working now.
Okay. Amazing. Great. So now that we have that,
Working.
I will have my closed captions off while we're watching these so you can see the video closed captions. We're just doing the Unity Essentials pathway, which talks about installing. So we'll be covering that. But let's watch. Let's watch. Yay, it's working.
Hey everyone, my name is James, and I'm your guide throughout the Unity Essentials pathway. Whether you're brand new to Unity, or you have some experience and you want to review the basics, you're in the right place. This tutorial will help you make sure that you have everything that you need. To make sure that you're ready, select from the options below. If you haven't yet installed the Unity Hub and Editor, we'll walk you through those steps. If you'd like to try our microgames tutorials, which are built to guide you from inside the Unity Editor, we can take you there. Otherwise, if you're ready to embark on the Unity Essentials pathway, the links below will lead you to the next step. Enjoy your journey to learning the Unity Essentials.
Great. I do not want to go through the micro games. I want to go through their Unity Essentials pathway. But first step,
we need to install Unity Hub as we heard RN.
Yep. So the first step is, have we installed Unity? So if we've not installed Unity Hub in the editor, go to step 2, which is get Unity. So I'm going to copy these links for you to download and install Unity.
//learn.u.
Don't need TTS to read out that link. Great. So we're going to download and install Unity. I did that before the stream to prep. And then on our journey, we'll choose a microgame to use as your first Unity learning experience. Step-by-step tutorials will guide you to configure and play your first game. For a special experience, try the Lego, registered trademark, microgame to build a game using Lego blocks with custom features. That actually sounds quite cool. Hello, hello, hey. So for those of you who, later when you've completed your microgame, return here, then proceed to step 6. Great, okay, so we will be making a microgame. So for those of you who haven't installed Unity and don't have it on your systems, go to the link that I dropped in chat and start installing Unity. Okay, if you've installed Unity Hub and Editor, what do you want to do next? Select the step that's the best fit for you. I'm new to Unity and I haven't completed a microgame, which is go to step 4, where I'm new to Unity and I'm ready for whatever comes after microgames, which I don't think I am, which is go to 6. I'm familiar with how to work in Unity. I know the windows in the editor, how to move and transform a game object, and how to navigate 3D space. I have like a 90% chance I can do that, but we're going to go through everything. And let's look at, I think we're going to make a microgame today. You're learning the basics of Unity, and you're looking for the best way forward. Have you tried a microgame? A microgame is a pre-built game with built-in tutorials that you can configure and play. Along the way, you'll learn the Unity editor interface, how to work with objects, and how to change your view of a scene. If you'd like to try a microgame, continue to the next step. Begin a microgame. Okay, so open the Unity Hub. Great, I have the Unity Hub. Select the Installs tab. Okay. Check your list of Unity installs to make sure you have a version marked LTS, long-term support. If you don't install an LTS version of Unity, those are the versions of microgames. Let's take a look. I don't actually have an LTS version. Oh, wait, no, I do. It is marked LTS. Great. Select the Projects tab. At the top of the window, look at Editor version.
Repeat installation process again, please.
Let me drop that link again. This link should walk you through
https://
This link should walk you through the steps for installing Unity. Great, okay. So what we're looking for is to create a new project. And then we have access to microgames. Great. Okay, so we have the 2D platformer microgame, the Lego microgame, the FPS microgame, and the karting microgame. Which, actually, I'm going to ask y'all, using a Twitch poll, which one y'all will want to do. Because theoretically, great. Yes. Give me 1 second. We're experimenting with new Twitch features right now. Oh, golly. I should be able to ask y'all in a poll. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, on twitch.tv, there should be a poll currently running. Which microgame do we want to do? You can go there and you can select which option you want. It's counting down. We have about a minute to type in your answers. Hopefully this works. Okay, we have 1 vote in, 2 votes in. We're currently equally split between all 4 of the different options. We've got 30 seconds remaining on the poll. Oh, it looks like karting has taken the lead with 2 votes. And maybe 10 seconds remaining. Karting is 3 votes. Looking like the runaway victor here.
Karting FTW.
Truly. Okay, and karting won. So let's go ahead and do the karting mini game or micro game. I'm going to download the template. Now let's create a project. Gotta love just waiting for things to load.
Happy International Women's Day.
Hey, I didn't even know it was International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day. Great. Okay. Oh. It looks like it's trying to open. Struggling a little. Our tutorial said that it would close and the project would open automatically. But my Unity has a little download icon next to it. So I think it's still downloading. Oh, it says on screen. Y'all can see this. I can't. Oh, here we go. The Unity Package Manager is resolving packages. So as we wait for it to do that, hopefully y'all are also downloading Unity if you want to follow along. I'm also going to drop the link in chat to check in. If you haven't checked in already, go ahead and follow that. I really need to turn off text-to-speech automatically reading out links. You can go ahead and follow that link to check in and get points for your guild. Patience truly is the key. And to cut my poor computer some slack, I am also live streaming right now. So that could be making it slightly harder. Or just vibing. Oh, while this is installing, I can talk about the wooden blocks that are behind me. These are actually sound diffusers. You might see the things that look sort of like this in a professional music studio. This is what they are, Skyline diffusers. They can be super expensive if you want to buy like a professionally made one, but I just bought some wood at my local hardware store and cut it down to size. And the BBC released a pattern.
I go they were puzzled some kind of wall decor.
So they are
Intel users crying in corner.
They are wall decor, but they are not puzzles. Therefore, sound waves come in and then bounce in all different directions. So it theoretically... Oh, there we go. It's starting to load. We're getting somewhere. There we go. Hey, okay. Theoretically, sound hits it and bounces in a bunch of different directions.
Very cool.
So it helps things sound less like a flat wall. Yeah, that's what those are. But we don't have time for that because Unity finally installed. So, okay. I'm going to try reducing the load on my system to make this run a little bit faster. Okay. Streaming and game development is apparently a little bit too hard for my poor computer. Okay. Carding microgame. Make your own carding game. In this project, you'll find preloaded scenes, scripts, audio tutorials, and more to inspire you and help you start creating. New to Unity, quick start your creation journey with the step-by-step tutorials. Ready to create, head straight to the scene. Let's load tutorials. Well, this is convenient. Okay. In this tutorial, you'll begin to explore the basics of the Unity editor as you playtest the start of the carding
Condolences to
microgame.
poor computer.
I mean, she's doing her best. Hopefully, as we get more access to Twitch, this should get better. Okay. Great. Let's hit start. First, let's try the game using play mode. You can set play in the toolbar at the top. The scene view in the center of the layout is where you'll manipulate and change things. And when you when you enter play mode, the scene view changes to the game view for testing. So let's select play. Okay. She's loading, she's working. I can use WASD to control it. We can see over in the corner, it's telling us you can move using WASD or arrow keys. Pause or view options using tab. Okay. And race your cart through the 3 checkpoints to the finish line. I have a little thing there, 1 checkpoint left. Hey, okay. When you're done, select play again to exit play mode. Great. Okay. Now let's make the player's cart go faster. Everything in your game world, including the player character, is called a game object. The hierarchy, which I'm assuming is here, is where you organize game objects. Each one in your game is listed there. Select a game object to find more about it and configure its behavior. In the hierarchy window, select the cart classic player object. So if I click on that, okay. The top speed property controls how fast the cart moves forward. Makes sense. When you select a game object in the hierarchy, you'll see the components in the inspector. So we have the inspector here. Components contain properties that give a game object specific functionalities. The arcade cart properties are what makes the player's cart move in response to player input, which is right here. Increase the top speed to 20 using the number field. You can find it under base stats. So let's make it 20. Then hit next. We're going to save. And then select play. Hey, and the cart is faster. That worked shockingly well. Oh. Okay. That was the first tutorial. In this tutorial, you learn some basics of the Unity Editor interface, increase the cart speed, and play test it. Next, you learn more about the Unity Editor. Let's do this. Editor basics. In this tutorial, you'll learn more about the Unity Editor as you change your view with the hand tool, zoom in and out, and discover the project window. Okay. This is going remarkably well. The hand tool lets you adjust the scene view so it's easier to see what you're creating. Select the hand tool. Pan around the scene view. Hey, okay.
What if I am poor in physics?
I mean, I don't especially know what poor in physics means, but that sounds like a big mood. Okay, and then we press Alt to rotate. And then we zoom in using the scroll wheel.
You got it.
The project window is where you can find all the files in your Unity project. Okay. Assets are the files that make up your project, such as prefab game objects, textures, and audio. It works like a file explorer and is organized in folders. That makes sense. It's the files in our project. Oh. And that's that tutorial. Okay. Tutorial 3, change colors. You can use materials. For those of you who've been here for when I've made things in Blender, you know that that sounds familiar, using materials to change the color, texture, that sort of thing of 3D objects. You can use materials to change the colors of game objects. In this tutorial, we'll change the color of the player's cart. It truly is the best part. Make it all fun. Okay, select Cart Classic again. Before you change the color of the cart, you can easily get a better view of it. With your cursor over the scene, press F. Hey, that's convenient. Okay. You can find materials in the assets folder. Wait. Okay. In the assets folder of the project window, in the art folder, select the cart body game object. I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, under carting, art. Materials.
Where is the art folder?
Yeah,
Oops.
we needed to open up carting. Select the cart body. Okay. What color do we want this to be? Asking a poll.
No
There's a
need
poll
to
currently
change
going
GBH.
on what our cart color should be. I mean, there is no need to change it technically, but the tutorial is going to make us. Our options are purple, orange, yellow, green, or blue.
Yellow.
Okay. We have yellow in chat. But currently, our votes are split between orange, yellow, and blue. I might be the deciding vote here. Y'all have maybe 20 seconds remaining. Oh my goodness, we have a vote for purple. It's a 4-way split.
Rainbow.
I mean, that goes outside this tutorial, but maybe we could learn how to do that another time. Oh my goodness, it's going to come down to me, isn't it? Oh no! At the last second, yellow pulls ahead with 2 votes.
Right parenthesis.
Great. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and change this to a yellow color. Great. In the inspector, find the surface.
My vote was the decider.
That is a fun thing about so few people on stream, that you have infinite power. Select the base map color in the color wheel. Use the sliders to pick a new color. Okay. Save. Our cart is yellow.
Hello, dimmer.
Hey, Polar Void. Let's try this. Hey, oh look, the card is yellow, and it works. We don't need to play this again. And that's the next tutorial done. I'll be honest, I really dislike...
Did they change the demo? OMG.
So there were 4 demo options. Platformer, FPS, Lego, and karting. And we did a vote earlier, and karting won. I'll be honest, I don't like how we needed to go into materials to change the materials rather than being able to change them on the object itself. That didn't necessarily make sense to my brain, but I can learn. Apparently, tutorial 4 is learning how to add a jump. Bum-ba-da-da. Exciting. Okay. Now we're going to drag the jump ramp prefab from the project window into the scene view. This will instantiate it, also known as spawning it or cloning it. Okay, but the question is, where is...
You can modify the material albedo inside the object, right?
That would be amazing. It didn't tell us to do that, and this is my first time using Unity. But if we can do that, then, well, great. Drag jump ramp. Is it under modular track kit? Probably. Or maybe not. Okay. Prefabs. Track pieces. I really wish it told us where that was in the project files rather than just needing to go through all of them. Tracks. Props. Here we go. Under props. Click and drag it. Great. Okay. Using the move tool, let's position the room. Set the move tool. Ah, great. Okay. That looks familiar for anyone who's used 3D software before. Select the jump and then drag it using the gizmos. Great. I'm assuming we'll need to move this down. Rotate and scale. Great. That makes sense. Okay.
Are we gonna yeet ourselves out of the map?
I mean, we can try. Now it's just time to play. Okay. We didn't eat that time, but...
Speed 1 million.
Let us... Can we change that? No, I can't change anything that it doesn't want us to change.
It
locks me in. But hey, we can move it closer.
Yes, I got late.
I mean...
You can.
There we go. We're free. Unity can't catch... Oh. And I'm stuck on a ledge.
A card game. Looks amazing. OMG.
I can't click anywhere outside of where it wants me to, which is the sad part. Yeah. We're making the kart game micro game in Unity. Most of the stuff has already been
Fast
there.
and Furious Part 1000.
I'll be honest, we have made almost none of this. I mean, yes, I want to leave the demo, but also we're trying to learn about Unity. Okay. Build, publish, and bonus in all caps. Before you publish your game, discover more ways to customize it with karting creative mods.
01D Alvin there?
When you're ready, this tutorial will guide you through building and publishing your game on a web page that you can share with your friends.
Yeah.
Great. in the top menu.
Oh, amazing.
Publish, WebGL. Before you can publish your game, you need to build it. This will create playable files. This step could take up to 30 minutes. Oh, golly. We do like WebGL. I stand WebGL. If you're prompted to switch to WebGL, okay. And it's going to build. While this is building for...
Can we drive away the cart through the time machine? I may be biased because I wrote my own game engine for it, LOL.
1, very cool. 2, that sounds like a good reason to be biased. And can we drive the cart through the time machine? I don't know what time machine you could possibly ever be referring to. I totally didn't mention a time machine, but also that time machine that I totally didn't talk about may or may not only be sized for like one person, so the cart might be a little big. Okay, while this is building, let us I guess I'm really wondering, where do we go from here? Because this showed us like the very basics, but also like it didn't really give us anything. I don't know. I'm slightly disappointed by this introduction because
Can we make a loop thingy, LOL?
It introduced us to the basics of editing, but not of actually making anything. Like if you were to now throw me into a blank project, I would be completely lost because all we learned was basically here's how you drag and drop and like adjust existing things. So I'm hoping that from here it talks a little bit more about like how we can create our own things. Let's building. Let's
code the game. https://learn.unity.com/ Have you seen this?
That's where we are right now. That's how we started this. That is actually kind of the main reason why we're experimenting with Unity today, because I think Polaroid, you were there when I talked about Godot being my like main cool engine of choice because it's open source. But yeah, because of Unity's amazing learning tools, we're taking a look at it.
We love Godot.
Truly, it is great. Okay. The next step to learn Unity for the first time is the Unity Essentials pathway. This pathway is a series of missions.
LOL.
It tries. The text-to-speech is trying its best. Great. Okay. So we're supposed to go to Unity to step 9.
Now everyone will get the job at Miniclip Games. Right parenthesis.
Is Miniclip still a thing? Okay.
OMG, I loved Miniclip. Godot.
Okay. Next tutorial. While this is still building.
They had both the best and worst games ever somehow.
Yes, that is a very accurate description. Okay. Okay, this is an overview of all of the resources that they have available, which, yeah, this is still building. Let's take a look.
Welcome.
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 So I'm Michael Flynn.
I am one of the modelers at Cine Studios. I'm also a director of the company as well.
I'm Andrea Niceto, producer and partner and game engine artist at Cinecode, the virtual production arm of post-production house Digital Film Tree.
My name is David Whaley, and I'm an indie developer in Utah in the United States.
Hi, my name is Kira Benzing, and I'm a VR director, and I create interactive virtual reality experiences.
My name is Ferishteh Fourouk. I'm the founder and executive director of Code to Inspire, first coding school for girls in Afghanistan.
I first discovered Unity while exploring virtual reality experiences in New York at Tribeca Film Festival. The minute I took the virtual reality headset off, I said, this is the kind of content that I want to be creating. And they said, you need to be familiar with Unity.
In my day job, one of the things I did was create architectural blueprints as an assistant. I had a coworker tell me, have you heard of Unity? It might help you with creating architectural walkthroughs for your clients. It just blew my mind. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
The Unity game engine changed the way I work. As an artist with very little code knowledge at the time, it was a fantastic way of setting things up.
We wanted to use game development and game design as a way that we can raise awareness within the community. We added Unity in our curriculum.
And I adds a minifeed Unity runtime, then transpiles that to WASM for WebGL LOL.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that sounds like Unity, but also, ouch.
Very excited to see.
I'll be honest. Let's skip through this. If you want to look at it, great. I've already decided to learn Unity. I don't necessarily need their hard sell here. Great. Next steps. We hope you're feeling inspired and motivated. Amazing. Thank you, Unity. Very cool. In the next tutorials, you will get started using Unity to get ready. Okay.
What creator-based changes were you talking about?
What? I believe you're referring to, I was talking about the monetization of Unity, and I don't know when this change happened, but it has happened probably within the last year, I think, was the last time I was looking at this. Unity used to be royalty-based, so if you were to release a project, they would get a cut of all sales, which isn't that big of a deal as like a small independent creator, but it just adds a level of like overhead and like stress to like think about something like that. Whereas I really liked the idea of being able to do whatever the heck I wanted to do with the things that I created. Hence Godot. But now they've switched from royalty based to subscription based if you need extra features, but their free stuff is perfectly fine for just kind of student developers messing around, making some fun things.
That is after 100K, right?
Nope.
Oh, I had no clue.
Yeah, they've switched entirely to royalty free. I'll be honest, I'm a little frustrated right now because I feel like they're running us in circles. I really wanted, like, my excitement was there are like plenty of tutorials for game engines, like in general. It's one of the things that a lot of people are teaching and talking about, which is like really cool. Game dev is an interesting thing. And
NGL Unity Learn is super slow.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad right now because I was looking forward to like a singular path, but I feel like they're just giving me a hard sell on Unity without actually, like, this feels like, I don't know if this is a thing outside the US, but any people who are in the US who are roughly my age might remember
I've spent
Hour
a
of Code.
considerable time using Unity and it.
And it? Drum
I'll
roll.
see the old live streams.
My goodness. Wait. Okay. I don't know if any of you remember Hour of Code, which might still be a thing. It was basically a set of projects that like took roughly an hour that were usually with visual programming languages that were designed for teachers to be able to just like, hey, we have an hour in class. Let's learn to code. And it was like a fun introduction to coding, but it was very, I want to say like unempowering. I don't know if that's necessarily a word, but you would learn to code within their specific sandbox and only to do the specific things that they were thinking of. So it taught you like programmatic thinking, but it didn't necessarily help you make anything. And that's kind of the vibes that I'm getting from Unity Learn. Okay, someone remembers Hour of Code. It doesn't feel like they're actually enabling me to make anything, at least yet. Like, this has been roughly an hour into trying to do this, and it's just kind of giving us everything about like here's all the surrounding things around Unity, and here's the user interface, and I really just want less like UI tutorials. Yeah, our established creators show how they felt when they opened the editor for the first time. I'm not looking for that. I just want to be able to make something. Okay, Unity finishing. Now it's uploading. I feel like in it, and I don't want to be sold on it. I just want to learn about it. That's the thing that's a little bit frustrating for me. What are some other game engines? Okay. Oh. Okay. Hey, our game built. Anyway, the ones that I can think of off the top of my head: Unity, Unreal Engine, Godot, RPG Maker, Game Maker Studio.
Maker still a thing.
Yep, there we go. That's like 5. I think there's another one that's like in the same realm as Godot, but it's meant to be like low code, no code, like visual coding sort of thing. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
There's a ton of open source stuff.
There is. I'm just trying to go through like the main like industry standard. Really, the breakdown is if
Construct?
you want to. Yes, Construct. That's what I was thinking of. And I believe Construct's web-based. It runs in a web browser, if I'm not mistaken. It is. It runs inside your web browser. So for those of you who were talking before about Unity can't run on your computer, Construct.
Rip CryEngine.
Oh my goodness. Was CryEngine ever available to like the open public?
Yes, it was amazing while it lasted.
Okay.
It's basically dead now.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. The game engine like space has kind of been decreasing rapidly, which is why I was so excited when I learned about Godot. Yeah, basically all the corporate stuff has kind of been collapsing, but a lot of open source stuff has been popping up. So yeah, for those of you who can't run Unity, check out Construct, which runs in a web browser. For those of you looking for something open source that can do 2D and 3D, I would check out Godot. For those of you who are looking for like an industry standard, multi-tool, Unity. And for those of you who are looking for like the highest fidelity, like hyper realistic 3D games, check out Unreal Engine, which is by Epic Games.
Also look out for my in progress Rust 1 LOL.
Very true. I'll keep an eye out. I'm like 90% sure it'll rock the industry, so I don't need to necessarily keep an eye out because I'll find out as soon as it releases.
Alvin is the god of Rust. Almost.
Rust developers, I have so much respect for Rust developers. I truly cannot understand it. Okay, I'm still like scrolling through all of this Unity tutorial stuff.
I want to learn Rust too.
And it's just kind of annoying me because it's
hard to make websites using Rust.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Whew. I have a friend who is remaking.
I used Rust because I hate debugging JavaScript.
Yeah, like that checks out, but also like a lot of infrastructure.
Let me learn JS first.
It's now teaching me packages. I don't know how.
Like Rust is super verbose.
Hey Unity, I don't know how to like write a line of code or make a new object, but you're teaching me.
025, I want to brush up to grinning face with smiling eyes and sweat drop.
One sec. Turning off text to speech. I'm mad at Unity because again, I'm scrolling through this and up to this point, it is talking about assets. It's talking about moving things around in the viewport. Okay, this one is basically horrible. I take back what I said, because what I said was, oh yeah, this is great. A project like Godot has great community support, but there isn't like a tutorial like built into the engine. There isn't like you need to go outside of Godot itself to get the support. And I was excited because I thought that Unity would offer a better system. Doesn't look like it. So let's take a look at...
Is Construct free?
Yes, Construct is free. Runs in the browser. I think has pretty robust low code like visual editing. Let's take a look at some.
No, it's got a free tier, but it's fairly limited, I think.
Oh shit. Okay. Thanks for correcting me. I haven't actually used Construct myself. I've just heard of it from the community.
Unless I've mixed it up with something else.
Let's take a look here.
Yet I saw that free tier thing.
Let's view plans. Ah. Whew. Okay. Yeah. Quite pricey. I would definitely... I don't know if I would pay this much money for Construct, which is fairly new and fairly limited, to my understanding. Definitely try it if you're interested. But before paying up to either 240 or 120 US dollars a year.
My first real game I made was in 2nd grade with a bootleg copy of Gamma Maker Studio.
So, obviously, piracy is bad, and you totally shouldn't pirate expensive industry software to learn how to use it because its pricing models are designed for large companies rather than individual creators. I would never say anything positive about pirating software like the Adobe Suite or Game Maker Studio. That being said, one of the reasons why I would hesitate to pay this money is because there are so many free resources with Godot, with Unity, with Unreal Engine, and even to a lesser extent, Scratch is a fairly competent game engine for like simple introductory games in the browser. It's where I dipped my toes in, and I created some fun clones of popular mobile games and things like that. And it really introduced me to the world as a free thing using visual programming. Highly recommend. Okay. I don't know if you all know.
Subscription models for software :
I do too.
I don't know if this is asked before. Hi. Why do you prefer Unity over Unreal Engine?
It's not necessarily that I prefer one over the other. It's just a question of versatility. Unreal Engine is designed for one thing, and that is for creating realistic 3D games. Specifically in their technology like Nanite, which is great for doing different like low poly to high poly rendering to
OMG,
to
we
have
love Greenwich Mean Time.
Thanks, text-to-speech, for totally massacring
WTH.
Game Maker Toolkit there to Greenwich Mean Time. But yeah, Unreal Engine is very specifically for like a couple types of games, and it is fairly intense to get started with. Whereas Unity, you can make a lot more because it has both 2D and 3D elements. Like it's much more flexible. So if Unreal Engine does look like what you're looking to do, again, with an eye towards realism rather than stylization, I highly recommend. That being said, let's take a look at Game Maker Toolkit. For those of you who don't know, Game Maker's Toolkit is a wonderful YouTube channel that is mostly video essays that are analyzing, you can see, I've watched a lot of their videos, analyzing game design in popular games, mechanics, that sort of thing. But also, the creator worked to make their own game, and they're still working on it. So they have tutorials and they talk about things. They're using Unity. So they have a Unity tutorial, and they also have this video right here, how we learned Unity without following any tutorials. So let us Yeah, here we go. We can see in the background here, we have Godot, we have Construct, we have Game Maker, we have Unreal. He's holding Unity. There are a bunch of different logos for game engines here. I guess the question is, do we want to look at the Unity tutorial for complete beginners, or how I learned Unity without following tutorials? We have like 40 minutes remaining, so we wouldn't be able to finish this tutorial. So I'm going to ask a poll.
So you're going to follow a tutorial that is about how the creator learned Unity without tutorials?
I mean, when you phrase it that way, it sounds a little weird, but...
Without tutorials. I can understand.
The poll should be live. You have 2 minutes.
I think it's basically him saying he built stuff and his viewers kept him motivated.
I mean, yes, but also we can see I mean, I'm trying to think back to when I watched this, because I did watch this. Yes, and it does also talk about where he started with Unity and his process that he went through. It is both. Oh my goodness, yeah, everyone's saying Unity tutorial. Great. Let's take a look then. I'm just going to call the vote here, even though we still have time left, because we have 5 votes for the Unity tutorial.
Oh, yes, the clones, I think.
The clones, I think? I don't know what that's referring to. Well, let's take a look at this.
My name's Mark. For years, I've wanted to make my very own video games using software like Unity. Unity is the powerful game engine behind titles like Cuphead, Neon White, Tunic, Outer Wilds, Hearthstone, Firewatch, and even the Pokemon Diamond remake. But I've always found that lengthy, multi-part, meandering tutorials just send me to sleep. I can't learn by watching someone else. I have to get hands-on and figure things out myself. And so last year, I developed a solution that actually works. It's a 3-step technique where you, 1, just learn the absolute basics of Unity, then 2, cement those lessons with simple exercises, and then 3, figure out the rest as you go along. And it totally worked. In the space of about a year, I went from ripping off iPhone games to working on my very own puzzle platformer about magnets. And I released an interactive video essay that had over 100,000 plays. But wait.
That interactive video essay, by the way, is extremely cool. It's about all the different ways that platformers are different, like how they feel different based on the game mechanics, because a game like Mario feels a lot different from a game like Inside, which feels a lot different from a game like a Metroidvania. It's very interesting. Highly recommend checking out GMTK Game Maker's Toolkit.
I hear you say, how do you do step 1? How do you learn the basics when the software is so complicated to figure out? Well, for me, it was about writing down a list of things I would need to know regardless of what game I was going to make. Things like how to make a character appear and move them around the screen, how to make stuff spawn in and then delete again later, how to have collisions and game over and animations and sound effects. Then I learned all that by hunting through lengthy tutorials, reading the Unity docs, Googling esoteric words, and doing a lot of trial and error. And so the whole point of this video is to save you that hassle. This video is the tutorial I wish I had when I was learning Unity. So in the next 40 minutes, we're going to use the engine to make Flappy Bird. Not because we want to make Flappy Bird, but because in order to remake this addictive iPhone game, we'll need to learn basically everything I just listed, from spawning objects to getting game overs. This tutorial will cover every step of the way, from downloading Unity to understanding the UI to writing your very first line of programming code to build.
Hey, oh look, we're actually writing code in a tutorial? What? Unity? Take a look at this.
Building a game that you can share with your friends. And then when the tutorial is over, I'll share some concrete next steps that you can take in order to continue learning the rest by yourself. Sound good? Then let's get started. Okay, let's start by getting Unity from the web.
Okay, now I'm going to slow it down from 2 times speed.
Download and install the Unity Hub. And then you'll need to make a free account to actually use it. Once that's done, you'll be asked to install the Unity editor. I'm using version 2021.3 for this tutorial if you're watching a million years in the future and wondering why things are different. Let's pretend I have fast internet. We're not quite done yet. Under Installs, hit the cog icon on the Unity editor and pick Modules. You'll see that Microsoft Visual Studio has been ticked. This is the software we'll use to write programs.
Let's take a look at our instance of Unity Hub. Okay. I'm also going to drop this link in chat for everyone, because again, we aren't going to be able to finish this.
https://
Okay. Installs. Add modules. Okay, we have Visual Studio. Great.
Programming code. So hit Continue and install Visual Studio. On this screen, scroll down and tick Game Development with Unity and untick Unity Hub because we have it. We don't need to make an account to use Visual Studio, so skip that and don't bother loading it. We'll open it later. Okay.
Wait.
Waiting for Dimmer's version of Mario Kart to drop.
Oh my goodness.
And yet, under Installs, hit the cog icon on the Unity editor and tick Modules. You'll see that Microsoft Visual Studio has been ticked. This is the software we'll use to write programming code.
Oh, I didn't hit Continue. Add modules. Continue. There we go. Okay.
AI-generated game assets. https://
I think you've dropped that link before. I support checking it out, but also I really don't support AI-generated art in any way, shape, or form. I've kind of taken a harder stance, especially after everything happened. I don't know if y'all have been following things that have been happening in the scene, but the VFX studio Corridor Crew released a video that they said have we revolutionized animation forever? And they basically used a version of Stable Diffusion to take video footage that they took and apply a fancy filter to make it look like anime. But to do that, they basically only grabbed frames from one specific anime, and then they didn't credit the anime. They didn't license the anime. They used an illegal rip of said anime from YouTube. It was a bunch of shady stuff. And they basically were we're democratizing animation by stealing the work of talented animators and running it through an AI. And all AI generated art and assets and things like that are based on scraping the work of existing artists. So I support using AI generative systems as a tool if you add in your own art as the starting point, or if you license or hire an artist to do that. Now, that being said,
are already underpaid. Loudly crying face. Loudly crying face.
Yes, exactly. I support using them as tools, but the specific thing there is either using existing free assets that you're allowed to use that you've licensed. So anything that is free open source Creative Commons, add that to a thing like Stable Diffusion and use it to iterate. But don't take things from artists who haven't been paid for their labor.
Yes, pick-to-pick models will use your own art to gen.
Yes, but the pick-to-pick Corridor Crew used a pick-to-pick model. The thing is not the picture-to-picture. The thing is the model itself. What has the model been trained on? And I think it is okay if you train the model yourself.
They're still trained on other images, though.
Yes. The thing is training the model yourself on art that you are allowed to use. And this being said, probably majority of us are students and we don't have a whole lot of resources. The thing there is just finding Creative Commons artwork that is allowed to iterate on and change and use in your own ways to train your model. Or if you are if Corridor Crew had hired an actual animator to go through and make sample images that they then trained their AI on, it would be amazing. It would be perfect because it basically automated a bunch of really repetitive tasks that don't take much artistry. But to do that, they trained the model on other people's work that they gathered illegally. And I think that's not okay. So I don't necessarily know if scenario is good or bad, but because it is, I'm 90% sure we looked at this before. I'm going to take a look at it again. Well, this is downloading.
Scenario does let you train your own models.
Okay, yeah. Pick and upload your own training data, train bespoke AI models, and then generate
How
outstanding
large is the
assets.
engine size?
That being said, I really don't know what makes this different from... I don't know what makes this different from Stable Diffusion.
You can overtrain if you use more than 30 of your own artwork.
Gross. We're not just building technology, we're building the future of game creation. No, you aren't. You're building a tool that creates art. Also, I think that this is sketchy right now, given the state of AI. Find an open source model that you can install on your own computer so you have complete control over it. Learning to use their tool on their web app makes you reliant on them for payment.
Art is not art. Change my mind.
It's just not. Not in the same way that you would call traditional art, because there isn't intentionality and skill in the, like, if I were to ask it to generate a painting, I have not made that painting. But if I were to make I guess if you treat it like a filter, I think it can be art, but not if it is based on stolen things. If you...
True, there are no wrapping for 2.5 or 3D use in games yet.
See, yeah, especially because Stable Diffusion download. You can just download an open source version of Stable Diffusion. So I don't see why you would use someone else's system that is probably based on Stable Diffusion, all things considered, when you could have complete control yourself. This install is taking a lot longer than I was hoping, so we're going to go back to the video and we're going to keep going while this is installing. I do want to say, I have kind of totally smashed the link that you just sent into the ground, but I appreciate you sharing it. And I always appreciate y'all sharing resources and ideas and tools.
I think iArt can be a cool tool to brainstorm or try out ideas quickly, but not as a final piece of art.
Yes, but with the caveat of don't replace concept artists. Concept artists are a huge career field that make really cool art.
Art 01D+11.
So again, if you're like an individual and you're a student, great. If you are a game studio, hire an artist. You can just hire an artist.
So hit continue.
Artists are like great people. I'm friends with a lot of artists because when I was at school, I was kind of my dorm was a combination of art students and computer science students. Yeah. Yes. Basically, AI art. Okay. While this is still downloading, I'm going to switch to the face cam and let's talk about it's Social Good Week. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Social Good Week. We're just talking about Unity because it's an interesting thing. This stream specifically isn't super related to... Yes, I am a CS major. Isn't super related to social good. But this conversation right here can be. Majority of the things that we're seeing in AI art are being pitched by, at worst, grifters trying to convince people that their tool is the future to get startup money and to get capital and to get influence. It's the same thing that we saw in the in the crypto scene, where everyone was trying to convince people that they were the future of crypto because there was this huge boom. And at best, they are computer science people trying to solve non-computer science problems with code. The problems with artists being underpaid, undervalued, and the problems of crunch conditions in game studios. All of these things are human problems that need human solutions. Creating an AI system to generate art will not solve any of the problems facing these people, and it won't improve or democratize art in any way. All it will do is enable people to more easily grift and replicate and create, and like duplicate. I personally take a fairly strong stance against AI tools right now. I had a brief honeymoon period when I was first messing around with ChatGPT of like, ooh, this is really cool. But then the more that I interacted with it,
I found this interesting for Unity backgrounds. https://
The more I learned about ChatGPT, the more I realized that it is industrial grade autocomplete, and it is extremely dangerous in its current state, in that it can be good for a few things at replacing something like Google. But ChatGPT is run by one company that used to be a nonprofit that is no longer a nonprofit. They're now a for-profit company that's trying to milk this for all it's worth.
I agree with you that not everything should be computerized, lol.
Yeah, and I guess at the current state of like the boom of all of these AI systems, I am trying to have a lot more skepticism when I see a new company.
1. That is so true. That was how I stopped learning game dev and got into app dev. I am just listening lol and enjoying this.
I guess.
Chanayachan 30 me too.
What I would say is, in the right hands,
how TTS says lol.
It is quite good. In the right hands, in the right use cases, AI systems can improve the speed in which we do things and the quality of life of people. But given that it exists in the same capitalist system that is exploiting those people in the first place, I don't trust it to be a solution in and of itself. And thus, I am very skeptical whenever I see advertising pitches like that of Scenario, which was saying that we're like revolutionizing and democratizing game development. It can't make that change in and of itself, because that's a societal change. Just like Microsoft Word in and of itself didn't like change society, it was a tool that was then used by society. These AI systems can't change capitalism. That's my general take. Hey, there we go. It's finally installed. Okay. With that, I'm going to get off my soapbox and let's come back to this tutorial.
New and install Visual Studio. On this screen, scroll down and tick Game Development with Unity and untick Unity Hub because we already have it. We don't need to make an account to use Visual Studio, so skip that and don't bother loading it. We'll open it later. Okay, that's all done now. So in Unity Hub, pick New Project, choose All Templates, and use 2D Core. This is an empty project with a few configurations to make.
I actually don't know what you were referring to there. Oh my goodness, I wasn't sharing my screen. There we go.
Suitable for 2D games. Give your project a name, hit create, and let's get game making.
Okay. Projects, new project, 2D Core, Flarpy Borg. Okay, well that's loading. Let's go back to our tutorial.
In step 1, we're going to become familiar with the default Unity user interface, and as we explore the different panels, we'll make the bird appear on screen. Right, so this is the default screen layout for Unity, and it's split into 4 panels. First of all, down here is the Project panel. This will contain everything that is in our game, like sprites, sound effects, scripts, tiles, fonts, and so on. Some of this stuff will be made in Unity as...
Someone watches, oh my goodness, what's that channel called? Half as Interesting. Someone watches Half as Interesting.
As we go along, but we can also just drag and drop files from elsewhere on our computer. Like, I've made some sprites for the bird and the pipe in Photoshop, and I'm going to import them into my project like so. I'd recommend you make your own, that's always more fun, but if you have zero artistic ability, then check the description for these assets. The next panel is the hierarchy. This contains all of the stuff that's in the current scene, which in most games will be a level. We're going to start by making the bird, so right-click and choose Create Empty. This has made an empty game object. So what's that? Well, a game object is essentially an invisible container. It has a position in space, a rotation, and a scale. Then you can fill that container with components to add extra features. For example, if we add a sprite renderer component, we can slap the bird image onto the game object. Absolutely everything in our level will be a game object with components. The bird, the pipes, even the user interface, and the camera. All of this magic happens in the third panel, the inspector, which is for messing with game objects. So once we've selected our new empty game object, we can put a name in the top field. Let's call it bird. And we can see and change the game object's position, rotation, and scale under transform. We can now press add component, pick rendering, and pick sprite renderer. To make this work,
already this is so much better than the default Unity tutorials. I'm again going to drop this link in chat for y'all. We have chapters. So the way that I'm going to do this is we're going to finish each chapter and then we're going to then implement it in Unity. Hey, thanks, Armin, for showing up. Really appreciate you being here. And I'm glad you appreciate my thoughts on AI. I try my best. Hope to see you again sometime soon. Have a great day. Bye. Okay, let's finish this chapter and then we'll implement this stuff in Unity.
We need to fill in the sprite field. So just drag the bird image from the project panel into the field and voila, we have graphics. That will, of course, show up in the fourth and final panel, the scene view. Here we can see what's in our current scene, and if you want, you can use these tools to move stuff around, scale it, and so on. This section has an extra tab for game view, which shows us what the game will look like from the main camera when it's running. Also, from this drop-down, we can set a resolution or aspect ratio to get a better idea of what it will look like when played. So I'm going to choose 1920 by 1080. Oof, the bird takes up way too much space. We could scale it down, but let's actually just zoom out the camera. Like I said before, the camera itself is a game object in the hierarchy, and it has a camera component with stats we can mess with. By changing the size, we can zoom out. I'm also going to change the background color. Lovely. We can now press the play button up here to start the world's most boring game. Okay, let's make it a bit more exciting.
Great. That's the end of chapter 1. Let's try implementing this. We have Unity. What did we do? Well, first we imported the assets, which he recommended that we make ourselves. But this session is more focused on the Unity aspect. So let's, excuse me. Let's download, unzip it. Great. I'm going to import those assets. Great. And then what did he do next? He then created a new empty, and it's the bird. And we added a component, was a rendering, and it was a sprite renderer, I believe. Sprite renderer. And then we added the sprite. It's been so long since I used Dropbox. Let me turn back on TTS. I mean, yeah, it is. I feel like it's of a bygone era. Great. And then he changed free aspect to 16 by 9. And then he changed the camera. He zoomed out the camera. How did he do that? Was it size?
Size.
I don't remember what he set it to. Let's check. He set it to a 13.23. I don't know if that was specifically a deliberate choice. I'm going to set it to 15. Great. And then
TP Fufin.
The background we changed as well. And he changed it to like a light pink. Okay. That was the first set. I believe we just made all the changes. Oh, his was a lot more red. Oh, well. Okay. Let's continue.
A quick recap. Unity has 4 panels by default. Project holds all the stuff in our game. Hierarchy lists all the game objects in the current level. Inspector lets us see and change those game objects, and we can see the level in the scene view. And a game object is an invisible container that we can fill with components like the sprite renderer.
Okay, we are like 7 minutes in and already have such a better understanding than anything that Unity tutorial was teaching us.
In step 2, we're going to use more components to make the bird into a physics object that is affected by gravity. And then we're going to write some programming code to make the bird fly up when we press the spacebar. So let's add another component to our bird, a rigid body 2D. This turns our bird into a physics object with gravity. So when we hit play, the bird drops and falls off the screen. Cool. We'll also want this bird to be able to interact with other objects. So let's add a collider, a circle collider 2D. Back in scene view, we can see the collider as a green outline. It's a bit off-center for me, so I'll use the offset to move it. And a little game design trick. If we make the collider a bit smaller than the image, it will let the player get through the pipes even if they just touched the edge. It gives the game a bit of leniency and makes it feel more fair. The final thing to add right now, a script. This essentially lets us make our own custom component, but we'll have to write it ourselves using programming code.
Oh, that's a really interesting way of framing what the scripts do. I really like that. This is a very good
game
tutorial.
Design tip.
I also like it too.
Choose New Script from the components list and call it Bird Script. Once it's loaded, double-click the script field to open it up. This will open the file in Visual Studio, which we installed earlier. So, welcome to programming. It's not too scary, promise, we'll take it slow. We're writing in C#, that's the programming language, and the only thing to worry about right now is these 2 chunks here, start and update. Start is for any code that will run as soon as the script is enabled, and it runs precisely once. Update runs constantly while the script is enabled, and it will fire off every line of code, every single frame, over and over and over again. So the main thing we're going to be doing with code right now is, well, if we go back to Unity, see these numbers and text fields in the components and how we can change them in the Unity editor? We're just going to write code to change these stats while the game is running. Just as a dumb example, and we'll delete this in a second. In start, we can type game object. That refers to this bit up here. And then a dot. You'll see a list appear, and many of the items refer to stuff back in the inspector, like isStatic, tag, layer, and name. So let's pick name, then write an equal sign. And in quotes, give our bird a name. Finally, we must always use a semicolon to mark the end of a command. And we must always save the script before we go back to Unity. Now, when we run the game, the name of the game object has been changed. Nice. Okay, delete that code, that was just for sillies, but it shows us how we can use code to talk to the game. We can write a command by choosing someone to talk to, in this case, the game object, and then a topic of conversation, its name, and then a command, change it to Bob Birdington. We'll be doing this a lot. So what we actually want to do is, in the Rigid Body 2D's component, under Info, we'll see a grayed out field for velocity, and we want to write some code to add upward velocity to the bird to make it fly into the air. The problem is, initially, a script can only talk to the game object's top bit and the transform. Right now, this script is completely unaware of the other components, so we need to sort that out first. We need to make a special slot on this script for a Rigid Body 2D, so we can then talk to it and send it commands. This is called a reference. We're going to create the reference up here between the class name and the start function. We're going to write public Rigid Body 2D myRigidBody. So we now have a slot to store a Rigid Body 2D, and we have a name that we can refer to make sure we're talking about this specific Rigid Body 2D. And because we made it public, it means we can access this slot from outside the script. So if we save and go back to Unity, we'll see that the script component now has a field for a rigid body 2D. We can drag the component into that slot and voila, we have established a line of communication between the script and the rigid body. Okay.
Again, a very, very good way of describing these programming concepts as they apply to Unity outside of the traditional constructs of programming. 10 out of 10. Love this.
In Visual Studio. In Update, we can type my rigid body, then dot. And now look at all the things we can talk about. Angular drag, gravity scale, mass. These are all properties on the component. The one we want is velocity. We want to set this to a new number. And so just like before with the name, we'll write an equals. Now what we're actually writing here is a vector, which is 2 numbers to represent a position in 2D space. And in this case, it's used to represent a direction for the bird to travel. We want the bird to go straight up, so 0, 1 would be a good one. I'm going to use vector2.up, which is a built-in shorthand for 0, 1. And to give it a bit more power, I'm going to multiply that vector by a number, say 10, which should send the bird flying up in the sky. Now, like I said before, any code in Update will run over and over again every frame. So if we save the script and hit play in Unity, off goes our bird. Bye. That's not what we want. We want this to only happen when the player hits the spacebar. So it's time to use the most fundamental bit of programming code, the if statement. An if statement is like a gate. You can surround some code with a fence, and every frame that code will be completely ignored, unless the game meets some specific conditions that are written on the gate, in which case the gate is open and the code is read and executed. So we want to say, if the player hits the spacebar, then add upward velocity. To do this, we can write if, and then in brackets, we can write the condition. This time we're not talking to a component, we're talking to Unity itself, specifically its input system. So we'll write input dot. Then we can pick get key down, and in brackets, keycode dot space. This asks Unity if the spacebar has been pressed on this frame, and then we'll finish with equals equals true. A quick note on equal signs. We use 1 to make the thing on the left be the same as the thing on the right. And we use 2 if we're just checking if the thing on the left is the same as the thing on the right. Cool? Anyway, so this code says, if the spacebar has just been pressed, then, and then we'll use curly brackets. These are the fence in our analogy, and put the flap code in here. So now in Update, every frame the game will go to the gate and be asked, hey, has the spacebar just been pressed? If yes, the code will fire and the bird will flap. If not, it will skip the code in the curly brackets and try again next frame. So, save the script and go back to Unity. We can now hit play and ta-da, the bird goes up when we press space.
Different here as... What is different? I'm curious.
We have now created a character.
There was no equals true.
Oh.
And made it react to input. This is a video game. Hooray! However, it feels like trash. The flap isn't right, and it doesn't feel like the original iPhone game. So we could change this number, save, open Unity, run the game, not quite right, stop, change the number, save, but that's slow and dumb.
Oh no, I feel called out.
First, we're going to make a variable. Let's go back to the top of the script, and under our reference to the rigid body, let's make a public float called flap strength. A float is a floating point number, basically a number that can have a decimal place. And then back in our update code, we'll multiply the vector2.up by flap strength instead of 10. Now, back in Unity.
Big brain. Very big brain. So right here, I totally did not utilize public variables in an inspector enough when I was last doing game dev. So I'm really glad that he's pushing this really hard.
You'll see that the script component has a new field, flap strength, and we can change that whenever we want to make the game feel different. We can even change it during the game, but note that anything you change while the game is running won't save when you press stop. This means you can play with values to your heart's content without worrying about screwing up your game. So if we mess with the flap strength and also the gravity scale on the rigid body, we'll hopefully get to something that feels good. Changing numbers back and forth. Honey, that's game design.
Okay, now it's time for us to implement this. But also, wow, this is like a top tier tutorial. This is really good. Okay, so what did we do? We took the bird and we added under physics 2D. I know we added a circle collider, but before that, we added a rigid body 2D. And then we added a circle collider, and then we adjusted that circle collider. So that it was centered on the bird itself. And then we had our small game dev tip, which was to make it smaller. Why the bird isn't centered? That is annoying me. But we'll leave it like this for now. Okay. So we added our rigid body. And then we added a script. What type of script did we add? I don't remember this. Oh, new script. There we go. Okay.
New script at the bottom.
Thank you. And then I'm calling it jump, create an ad. Okay. Script. Edit script. Drum roll. Hey, we can use VS Code rather than Visual Studio. Yes, amazing. Lovely. Okay.
Does IntelliSense work on MacOS?
I believe so. I'm like 99% sure. But let's try this. So, okay. What we did, I've never written C# before. So we did public, and then we needed, it was a rigid, oh no. Uh-oh.
I think you no longer need to install a rigid body 2D.
Let us take a look.
Wait, my messages went together, LOL. It's rigid body 2D with a capital R.
So, okay. Let's... Yeah, so the problem is there's no IntelliSense. I'm like 99% sure that that's what IntelliSense is.
There's a guide, they have to set it up.
Oh, let's take a look.
But it doesn't work. For me.
So I also don't have the .NET SDK, which is a thing that I need. So let us. Hi. We are almost out of time. We have like 4 minutes remaining before the next stream starts, which is going to be the
dependencies.
Yes, which is going to be the stream talking about like what's happening today, which is going to be super fun. So definitely stick around. But to make sure that we're out of here before they need the stream, I'm going to drop the check-in link again. Make sure to check in, get points for your guild, and then I'm also going to drop
https://
the link to the tutorial that we were following, because it was a top tier tutorial by a great creator. Definitely hit a subscribe for Game Maker Toolkit. Those are the resources we've been working with today.
Yes, very nice. Which is the top guild RN?
I honestly don't know off the top of my head. I believe Python Pros, but you should ask that in like 4 minutes at the today in Global Hack Week, because they would have Tech Wizards. Okay. They would have the answer to that. Yeah, thank you all so much for coming. This has been a great stream.
Love how a few decades ago programmers were handwriting Roller Coaster Tycoon in Asm, and now we're in dependency hell.
Yes, it's very interesting for me to think about how programming has changed and how like so many ways of creating have changed. There's so many dependencies now on like all forms of creating. Anyway, I'm going to turn TTS off as we end the stream. Thank you all so much for coming. We learned that Unity's built-in tutorials aren't great. That was the first thing we learned, but then we started learning actual Unity. I dropped the tutorial that we were following. It's great. Follow that. And we're definitely going to be doing more Unity next month in Global Hack Week, April, which is going to be super fun. So definitely come back for that. There are a ton of other cool streams happening this week. I'm running some on things like Blender and creating ideas and the butterfly effect in your code, how small changes can have huge societal impacts. Bunch of cool streams. Yeah, stick around 2 minutes from now when the Today in Global Hack Week stream is happening, which will be a wonderful, like, going through all the different things that is happening today. Yes, we're going to be doing Blender scripting to create generative art in Blender. It's going to be super fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you all so much for coming. Bye. Stick around for the next stream.